Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with the fourth and final part of ideas to hopefully benefit Malaysia. Malaysian Mondays, I suppose. I would love to know what you think about the idea of Malaysian Mondays. I know it's another one of my great ideas, but maybe every Monday, encouraging people to buy Malaysian products every Monday, perhaps, or something like that. Maybe, or maybe some people could even support Malaysia daily, every single day. But yeah, I'd love to help Malaysia promote its products, exports, businesses, and things like that, and look at ways to benefit the entire nation. But yeah, so I'd love to read any comments you have, and if you want to make reaction videos, that'd be cool, even if they want to meme me. But hopefully it won't be too harsh. But yeah, I think that covers everything for the intro. Oh yeah, just one more thing. I was going to say, I also wish people, all Pakistanis out there, a happy Independence Day, as it's their Independence Day today as well. I know they don't always get on well with India, but many of them do. And for all the decent Pakistanis out there, I suppose, and the ones who get along with India, as it's an Asian nation as well, especially, and for all nations who fought for their independence and what they went through and all that kind of thing, I would still love to wish Pakistanis an Independence Day, happy Independence Day rather, and a peaceful and prosperous Independence Day as well, for all nations that within Asia, whenever their Independence Day is. Gosh, I nearly did the intro in under a minute, but then I messed up a little bit, but I thought that was important to say as well, and in the spirit of goodwill, stuff like that, especially all Pakistanis who are law-abiding and peaceful and loving and stuff like that. I wish you all a happy Independence Day. But yeah, please don't hold back any feedback you have, any comments you have, anything like that. And I'd love to especially read from Malaysians themselves, or those who love Malaysia, those of Malaysian background and descent and whatnot, or those who, as I say, who just love Malaysia generally, or Asian nations generally, or have an interest in Asia. Anyway, here goes. So, number 31. As I mentioned briefly in part 3, I was in the process of writing one of my infamous, notorious sort of notebooks, which I hoard. I know I like to write and everything, but I was writing things that I was hoping would be like in the future to give as a gift or present, if you like, to whatever the difference is, to people in nations like Malaysia and Singapore and places like that. But yeah, so and in the future, I would love for like special notebooks to be written in collaboration with Malaysians, as well as those from those other nations, which I call M.I.I.S.A.S. or M.I.I.S.A.S, or however you pronounce it. I was thinking it probably wouldn't be Miss, because that'd be M.I.I.S., but I don't know how you pronounce that, but M.I.I.S.A.S or something like that. But anyway, for them to work together, or even Asian nations together, but especially those particular nations, and possibly people from South Africa included in that, but especially those 4 Asian nations, like people with neurodiverse conditions, neurodiverse or whatever, neurodivergent, special needs, learning disabilities, learning disabled people, whichever term you prefer, people with learning differences, if you prefer, whatever, like dyslexia, ADHD, autism, and whatnot, put simply, to write together like about famous and successful people with neurodiverse or neurological, whatever the word is, whichever term you prefer, neurodiverse, shall we say, or neurodivergent, or special needs, or learner or learning disabled conditions, to collaborate together and like write about famous people from these backgrounds and like do creative works, so that would hopefully inspire especially young people with dyslexia, ADHD, and related conditions across nations like Malaysia, to put it as simply as possible, and including like how they could work together on projects where they're encouraged through like the ones, because a lot of people with autism and dyslexia and related conditions, especially autism and dyslexia, can be good. Not sure about people with ADHD, but I'm sure even many of them could be good artists, but especially people with autism and dyslexia, to draw pictures as well, which hopefully will, if it's something they're good at, hopefully that will inspire them and to achieve their full potential. Also, if they learn about entrepreneurs with dyslexia and that kind of thing, and ADHD and whatnot. Number 32, At the same time, however, I also dream to benefit Malaysians and other Asians generally, not just people with neurodiverse conditions, but those perhaps especially and my fellow Eurasians, but the whole of the nation. As I said in part 2, I think it was. No, I think it was part 3, point number 24. Like benefiting the whole nation. So I suppose it was the one I just made before this one. Number 33. On the subject of neurodiversity, however, I would love and for this particular part 4, I was hoping that I would talk more about the charitable work, how to alleviate poverty and suffering across Malaysia, especially, and again, how they can work with other Asian nations, especially M.I.I.S.A.S or M.I.I.S.A.S, and South Africa, as I say, included, obviously, including that network, but especially with other Asian nations as well, how they could tackle poverty and suffering and stuff like that, but also neurodiverse people like Richard Branson, Jamie Oliver, even Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, Steve McQueen, the director as well. So dyslexic people and people with ADHD and other conditions, related conditions, as say neurodivergent people, supporting Malaysians, like setting up training centres and academies to teach people about entrepreneurship, movie making, music, how to utilise their talents, art, how to get into art, how to sell their art, market it and promote it, and things like that. So I especially hope to help people like neurodivergent people. Number 34. Also, as I say, other disadvantaged groups. I would love to benefit people from Malaysia, from the poorest backgrounds, as I said before, like to the richest backgrounds. So not just the poor or not just the rich, but everyone. But that would include obviously the poor or the most disadvantaged people, people with physical and mental disabilities, as well as learner or learning disabilities or differences. Also, number 35. I think this would take, like, as I say, cooperation, collaboration, and that kind of thing with national and international charities and NGOs. So NGOs and charities within Malaysia itself, or those that around the world that want to support people from Malaysia, and international bodies and whatnot, to look at what's best for, hopefully, for people from Malaysia, perhaps. And I'd love to hear different ideas. I suppose the challenge is like how to help people without being too pushy or without forcing them to do things they don't want to do. I dare say, a controversial topic to talk about, but when it comes to the vaccine or things like that, I don't think that should be forced onto anyone. I don't know if that's an area I should have got into, but basically to try and educate and give awareness and guidance to people, but then let them make the decision which they want to make, which is best for themselves. So I suppose as a libertarian, I would love to promote libertarianism, which I could have said in point number 33, I suppose, as it reminds me of like libertarianism and that kind of thing. Number 36, I would love to look into how Italian teams and Celtic, as I said before, like how they could work with people in Malaysia, especially like learning disabled, special needs or neurodiverse organisations, schools, associations and whatnot, NGOs in Malaysia and that kind of thing, like to promote, I don't know what I was trying to say there, sorry, to promote football and sports and that kind of thing, physical activity, shall we say. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but sports and things like that. I know some people's minds work when they say physical activity, but yeah, sport and stuff like that, especially football. I suppose as someone who just loves football, but yeah, maybe in sports generally. But when it comes to working with Italian teams in Celtic, I would especially love them to focus more on football. And as I mentioned before, I know I repeat myself, sorry, again for my bad habits of repeating myself, but I would love for them to follow and support Italian teams and Celtic, especially Serie A teams, but even maybe the national team, Italian national team, and also Italian club teams, I say, especially Serie A teams, even the lower lower league teams, and maybe even the grassroots where they can practice together, like Italians practicing with people from Malaysia and those other nations which I mentioned before. Also similar for Celtic and the Celts and that kind of thing. But again, like how Italian teams in Celtic could also do like fundraising to help with education and as well as having like supports clubs, academies, and whatnot. They can support them as much as possible. Number 37. But yeah, I'd love to share ideas on that and how Malaysia could. I even almost forgot which nation I was talking about then. But yeah, how Malaysia and those other nations like Indonesia could promote their products, goods, services, things like that. Hopefully people like myself can raise the profile of Malaysian entrepreneurs. Maybe in the future I could do some videos on specifically like Malaysian entrepreneurs, but it never seems enough hours in the day. But yeah, maybe I could find out about Malaysian entrepreneurs, even like 40 top Malaysian entrepreneurs. That could be a video for the future, for a sort of series of videos for the future. But yeah, how they can promote their products, goods and services all around the world. And yeah, how to celebrate things to do with Malaysia and help their economy and to improve their economy and their way of life, their standard of living and things like that in and across Malaysia. Number 38. As ever, as I say, I would love to hear other people's ideas and read other people's ideas and whatnot, and suggestions for how to benefit nations such as Malaysia. How could they benefit, for instance, from their campaign like Malaysia Truly Asia campaign? As I mentioned before, could they make money not just from the tourism itself, but could they make money from the YouTube channel itself? So like people checking out the Malaysia Truly Asia channel, and maybe people from the diaspora could be encouraged to check out that channel on YouTube and hopefully give them views and support Malaysian YouTubers, people with a soft spot for Malaysia, or Asian YouTubers generally, as I say, for those who are interested in Asia and Asian culture and benefiting Asia. It would be great, I think, for the Asian nations to invest in each other as well. And like, I suppose the Asian Development Bank just supporting entrepreneurship generally across Asia, including, as I say, countries, nations such as Malaysia itself and others. Number 39. I hope, as I say, these videos sort of help and will benefit, as I say, as many Malaysians as possible. I'd also love to promote animal rights. I'd love to travel to Malaysia and work with dyslexia-friendly organisations, schools, and associations, as I say, and neurodiverse groups generally, people with ADHD, autism, dyspraxia, and other related conditions, if there are any others. I can't think of the top of my head. It's easier just to say, I suppose, neurodiversity, because that's the whole umbrella for all of those conditions. Neurodivergence, I suppose, is a term that could be used. But yeah, so helping those neurodivergent people to reach their full potential. I'd love to work with others, say, maybe even if I could encourage or get in touch with people like Richard Branson, David Neilman, I think his name is, something like that, who runs JetBlue Airways. So I can't speak properly, but people like that who have done well, like just basically dyslexic and ADHD or neurodivergent entrepreneurs, to create, as I say, academies, training centres, and that sort of thing, especially to encourage business, entrepreneurship, and that kind of thing for neurodivergent people, but basically also to help them to achieve their full potential generally, as well as possibly people with other disabilities, mental health problems, physical disabilities, and that kind of thing. Yeah, supporting them to achieve their full potential and benefit, as I say, the whole entire nation. And number 40, as I say, if I could be more organised, I would love to. It's on my bucket list. I would love to go to Malaysia and again support people from all walks of life, especially neurodivergent people, but also people with physical and mental disabilities, poor people, and that kind of thing, and like discussing ideas of how to tackle that, any homelessness or any other sort of things that plague people's lives, or basically to improve people's lives. To put it simply, I'm overcomplicating it perhaps, but yeah, I love to work with charities, NGOs, neurodiverse individuals and organisations and whatnot, and Eurasians, to go to benefit as many people in Eurasia as possible, in Malaysia as possible, sorry, and also animals as well in the nation, like how to alleviate suffering, as I normally talk about, in this case specifically for Malaysia itself, and how to spread peace, love, joy, hope, and positivity. And on that note, I'll leave it on a positive. I am out.